This is a response to Destiny the Taken King is not worth $40, BDobbinsFtw video. And my thoughts on it was, when I first read the title, I was like, oh man, not this shit. And I'm a huge fan, I think he's the best YouTuber out right now. But when I saw it, it struck me by surprise, because I've been playing Destiny the Taken King pretty much non-stop, and I've actually been enjoying it. And I agreed with pretty much everything he's ever said about anything in the world on so many issues. But on this one, it kind of struck me. And after he broke it down, I gave him a listen and understood where he was coming from. I agree to most of the stuff he says, and I still disagree about the raid. This raid is fucking amazing. Like, I think part of what he doesn't like about it is the boring sections, but I've always said, like, I know it's not fair to say a game played with co-op is better than a non, because like Yahtzee always says, you have to judge the game by itself and not with friends, because Borderlands is insanely fun with friends, but if you play it by yourself, is it boring and shit like that? You know, you can't give something credit for being really fun with friends, because friends make anything fun. But doing the raid, man, with friends, man, it's just so much fun. Like in those, it's in the platforming sections, you get to crack jokes at each other. Like almost every time, we get to make jokes or have a discussion in between things. It's a nice cooldown section, because when the going gets tough, like now, like there's no time to talk. And I don't know. I think I'm giving it credit for where it shouldn't. But I just love the raid so much, I want to defend it. I don't really have any intellectual way to respond to that kind of claim, other than I just think the raid is fucking amazing, and I stand by my 10 out of 10. So, another thing is, I don't think this thing was worth $40, but I think it was worth somewhere between like 25 and 30. And what I mean by this is, if you paid $40 for this and saw it at a store for 30, you wouldn't be like, oh, I got robbed, I got to do a return or something like that. You'd be like, alright, I paid for it at that store. It's something like a Dillard's type thing, when they sell overpriced clothes for like double the price. Like how clothing stores do that, and if you go to somewhere else, it's literally half the price. It's something like that, where it's the showmanship, it's the plastic, it's all the artificial shit at the experience of buying it is perceived to have a higher value. That's why people shop at like Target and shit, is because the perception is it's so much nicer than some other places, is that the products you're buying are more fancy and shit, and which is all false and not true at all. But it's something here similar, where the perception of it is that if you paid $40 for this, you're gonna put your time into it and actually enjoy a good chunk. So anyways, I wrote down some notes because I was thinking about this while at work, because there's nothing else to think about. So I wanted to mention how the new DLCs make the old ones obsolete. And so this also goes into saying why it's not worth $40, and I'm trying to play devil's advocate because I really don't know. I think it's worth in between. So what I mean by this is how this dropped for $40, but it made the old ones that you previously purchased worth less and literally unplayable. The loot from them is not playable, so that takes away from a shit ton of its value, because now it's the only reason why it feels like it's worth more is because the other ones are worth less. You see what I did there? Anyways, so is Destiny the Taken King worth more if you paid less? That is, like, if you split this with a friend and you only paid $20, it would probably feel like it was worth an insane amount. And because we paid $40 and we feel like, some of us may feel like it wasn't really worth that, it may exaggerate our feelings. I paid $40, but I've only paid a very small amount for this game up to this point. I've only paid like $15. So at this point I paid $55, I think. I think that's right. No, I would have paid, whatever, you're not supposed to do math live on air. But anyways, so I paid less for this overall game so far still, so I don't feel like this was a waste of money. I do think the content wasn't worth it, but I do feel like I got my money's worth up to this point in the game because of how good the raids have been and other things, so, and how the Crucible and shit like that. So I'm inflating it, and I'm adding a bias that I don't like. I understand, like, it's flawed logic even as I'm saying it, but I do think it was worth a good amount. Now the story and all that other shit sucked. I would like to go into that, but the strikes, the way they reworked the loot system, the critique to Dobbins' thing is the Court of Orcs. I actually thought the Court of Orcs was pretty good. You do good boss fights, get a shit ton of loot. It's basically a mini loot cave, and it's fun, and you feel like a badass when you're on with a full group of people. Yeah, it's simplistic and fun, but it's still simplistic and fun. Like, it doesn't, like, if you want to have a hard, challenging boss fight, go play the raid. But just the Court of Orcs, going out and banging shit out, getting, I guess, false rewards that you get a sense of achievement for getting that you really shouldn't get, is not great logic, but it's fun, and the boss fights are fun. And so, it's fun with friends. I just have fun. So, I mean, as you can tell. So, I wanted to also mention, where does the value of still playing the same game come in at? And what I mean by this is I've only paid $60 up until this point. I paid less. And so the argument has always been, if you paid, how much would it have been? 60 plus 35 plus another 40. That's way more than just one game. But I've only played one game's worth, and I've gotten a shit ton of time out of it. And some of the things, if the entire package is debatably worth $60, the game plus the 2 DLCs plus the experience of playing them in their prime plus playing the new Taken King stuff. And so what I mean by this is all in all, I have an unjust position in this where I can't really value it. I can say that it's not worth 30, but I can't say, since I've only paid what would be, you know, intangibly like $30, I feel like it was worth the value I paid, but it was not worth the value you paid if you paid the full price and shit. So yeah, I know that really took an awkward turn. So and finally, I want to mention how the Destiny isn't a subscription-based game, but it plays like one. What I mean by this is, when the base game came out, the base game was only what you were able to do, and everything in it was built around it. Then a DLC comes and it completely changed it. The loot from Vaulted Glass was no longer as good as the Crota gear. It was nearly obsolete, thus making it a subscription. You move on to the next thing and the old ones become obsolete. That's how that would work. That's you know, that's why you would subscribe to something like that. You know, there's still stuff in the old one that made it worth stuff, and at the time it was worth a shit ton, but as it goes on, the new stuff would just outbe the old stuff. I'm trying to think of something like Loot Crate, where it's a subscription-based thing, but you're always looking forward to the next one, because the next one will be new, fresh, and exciting, and just have a new experience attached to it, even if it's not better than the previous one. So, but I mean, that's, I don't know, I can't really come up with a good example, but that's a decent one. So you take from that, whatever, go ahead. But anyways, and so it's not a subscription-based thing, but it feels like one, but we're still paying full price, and this is where, if Destiny 2 was a subscription-based thing, and they didn't price us out the ass, this might be a good thing. I know I said final thing, but I wrote down something, so let's see if it was worth writing down. Also, I'm still pissed about the lack of post-launch content. Oh yeah, the $40 in microtransactions should lend plenty of incentives for more content and milking of the fans. And so finally, I want to say, the microtransactions and shit, I hope it pays for all of the new shit coming up, more than just Iron Banner trials and all the post shit. I want to play new shit. I want to play new missions. I want to keep playing new stuff, since you're going to keep milking the fans. I'm fine with you milking the dumb fans if you give me free shit. I know it's biased, but they should do something like Mass Effect did. They should do something like Halo did. Give us free shit. Free. No, but seriously though, if they're gonna have such a high inflated value and pricing structure, then we should be getting something subscription-based style. And I'm gonna continue this in a second. Alright, and in my final point, what I mean by the subscription base, and this all ties together, is right now we have that false sense of every week or couple weeks something new happens. We had the Black Spindle event, that was new, and it was after the game. We had the Trials of Osiris, which got pushed back. We have the Iron Banner, which came out. We have the hard mode raids still coming up. There's a gang of post-launch content that's coming that feels like it's continued support, but it's actually artificial continued support. It's just delayed support. And so what I mean by this is the microtransaction thing should work hand in hand, like Bungie quote unquote said in that press release statement thing, where they were like, it's gonna fund the live team to do shit, and then like Dobbins said in his video, that it shouldn't be some kind of fluff Queen's Wrath type thing. It should be a real meaningful event type thing, and I stand by that. And so what I mean is if, just some quick examples, if they added a new strike from the microtransactions, then that would be worth it. I don't know, you know, yeah, fuck it, it would be worth it. If they added more Court of Oryx bosses, that'd be fucking amazing. If they added a mini sideline quest where I got to write it because I write way better shit than they did, that would be worth the money. And so if they do something like that, and just those quick examples, then that'll be worth the microtransactions and the way they implemented it. And I still wouldn't have a problem with it, because it's like the Red Dragon said in his last video, vote with your wallet. I don't fucking support microtransactions, but I do think, depending on the thing, that they're plausible. I've been saying since Battlefield 3 did it. A shortcut in order to rank up all your guns or unlock them all only takes away value from you. If you want a game stuffed full of content, and you offer a shortcut to skip all the content, then you're only taking away from your value. Because when I was playing Battlefield, literally most M16A3 was the best gun in the game, and you would have it unlocked from the start. Okay, so there was no false, oh, the more you level up, like COD does it, the more you level up, the more shit you get, and the better your gun can be. Because there's arguments to be made that some of the higher guns are the better guns, the better attachments are hidden in the back, the better perks are hidden in the latter thing. There's an argument there, but there is no argument in a game like Battlefield that's actually balanced properly. Now, something in like Destiny, if they offered a pay to skip light levels and shit like that, I'd be fine with it, as long as it wasn't exaggerated. If you were able to buy your way to 320, bullshit. If you're able to buy 280, 290, fine, it doesn't make a difference. But if you fucking are able to skip over something that's there artificially, like you could buy legendary marks, bullshit. But if you were able to buy something cheap and artificial, like the dancing modes, but on a different level, if you were able to buy like just an average ghost shell, you were able to buy just a 300 special dildo ghost shell, and it was just a reskin version of the Kingslayer, but it glowed like neon fucking colors, and it was like a rave shell, something from like a disco ball from Claptrap, then fuck it. All it is cosmetic, and it only gives them the dodging of RNG, and I'd be okay with something like that. So in the end, I was able to work together all my shit and all my thoughts. It actually came full circle. And I just want to say one final time, though, I was okay with Battlefield 3's shortcuts because it only took away from your experience to rank up all your guns. Because I always thought of it as, to unlock the next gun, I had to get halfway through the progression of this gun, and I got to actually use that gun and see my thoughts on it. And it was a good way to stunt my playing with all the guns and getting a feel for them. So I was always like, alright, to unlock whatever the next gun was, I would use the M416 and get a feel for it. Then I get the next one and get a couple service stars with that. And I like that. And I feel like if you were just like buying the shortcut in Battlefield, you would be taken away from the value yourself. If you would be able to do that in Destiny, and you were able to skip to, like they did with level 25, you were only, well, I mean, Destiny sucked, but in a, let's say you were able to buy some purple guns from the Vanguard from a microtransaction, and it was just some average ones. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't, all you would be able to do is to get something for paid real money that other people would have to grind a little bit. Now I'm not saying like an entire super grind. Like I said, like just one ghost shell that was only, fuck, 300 was a bit too much. But you know, I'm thinking of this live, but I would be okay if you had to, okay, I got it. You would be able to follow me. You wouldn't have to be able to play the King's Fall, or remember, not King's Fall, the Taken King storyline. How about that? There you go. That'd be the equivalent to Battlefield. You would have it automatically unlocked, boom. And there you go. And then it wouldn't even be like, hey, you could spend real money to rank up a Dead Orbit faction. No, that'd be overpowered. But to be able to just skip over having to play the story mission, get none of the rewards from it, just being able to go pick which story to play, if you had to pay for that, I'd be fine with that. So it's circumventing like the artificial grind. So like I said, buying your level I'd be okay with, as long as it wasn't too high, like you just literally became overpowered. But I'd be okay with something like that. I don't know, it's a balance thing. There's different sides to it. I'd have to literally think about this more. This is just off the top of the head. But I was okay with Battlefield when they did it, so I'm not trying to pick a double standard. And so I'm fine with microtransactions in games. I was fine when Borderlands did custom heads that came in packages, because I never bought them because it wasn't worth the money. I know my dude bought them though. And I was more supportive when they did a Headhunter pack where it came with heads, but they offered also offered you some little content to play, and that was fine because it actually added some replay. Going back and playing this the snowman boss was actually a good way to get loot, and the heads that came with that little mini DLC was fine. That's an easy way. You put microtransactions, aka buying the heads, mix it in with some actual content, and that's a double way to do it. So, I don't know. This has been Games7 on my thoughts on, wow, I covered a lot. Microtransactions, Destiny's full of support. I even threw in some Battlefront gameplay. Boom! I did it all. Shouts out to Hero and Too Cold and Bravo if you made it all the way to the video. Shouts out to you for watching. Peace out.